Hey everyone, Justin with Deep Dive Stocks here again with another after hours market dive. Today we're going to look at ES futures again behind me. This is the 15 minutes. And we see, like we said yesterday, the liquidity conditions ended what was yesterday's post-market bullish. And then today's pre-market, it looks like that bullish liquidity faded some into bearish. Spot was riding LDPM up until market open when the market saw that big red candle. It's interesting to note that that occurred while liquidity levels and liquidity amounts were positive. And so we can see that the bearish candles, they were light red. Liquidity levels were positive. So it's a pretty good indicator that it was going to be a recoverable event, as opposed to sometimes, if you see just negative flow, negative amount, and deep red candles as it breaks through LDPM, those supports, it can be bad news bears. But here we see things are pretty bullish flowing into the market. See just the last bit there. And then if we zoom into the 8-minute, we can just get a little bit more of a granular view. We see bullish liquidity testing LDPM 5 at just prior to midnight. Bearish liquidity starts to take over at the start of the day. We see LDPS coloring the candles red, and this is kind of the opposite, like we saw on the 15-minute, where those candles are pretty red and liquidity amount and levels were negative. So there was a little bit of sustained downside before support came back in. There's that big red candle right at market open. And we can see even on the 8-minute, the bullish flow, LDPS is picking up on the bullish flows, bringing spot back up to LDPM 5 for support. Towards the end of the day, it looks like the liquidity flow and liquidity amount became positive once more. That's good signs. Switching over to another futures I've been interested in is the micro ether futures. They're quite volatile and fun to watch. We see the bearish, there was that turbulence right at the start of the day, but bearish liquidity starts winning out. There's that big red candle. Liquidity flow and liquidity amount are negative. Bearish prints all around. And it looks like that's how the day ends. If we zoom into the 8-minute, we get a little bit more fun action. So we see right at the start of the day, we have that bearish liquidity, testing LDPM 5 for support, a little bullish liquidity, but we can see it's basically rotating around that support, picking up bullish liquidity when it needs, and then falling through when it's not present. Liquidity flow, liquidity amount becoming pretty negative. And we see that bearish liquidity just sweeps through. Big red candle, market open. You can see a little bit of that bullish liquidity try to pop up above LDPM 5 for support. Liquidity amount and liquidity flow deepening as LDPS show a small spark of bullish liquidity. And then it would seem that the day ends with a little bit. Oh no, I'm sorry. The day ends with some bearish liquidity on micro Ethereum futures. We see that LDPS once more trying to peep back up, but unsuccessful. And so that sets the day up for continued bearish action as the market opens again. Next up is Bitcoin for the 15-minute. This one is much more straightforward. We see right at the start of the day, bearish liquidity starts reigning supreme. Liquidity flow and amount are negative, and so the expectation is continued downside, and that's exactly what Bitcoin delivered throughout the day. Just a persistent move down and then hanging out there. On the 8-minute, we can see this as well. Day starts out with that bearish liquidity, test LDPM 6. LDPM 6 fails. We get a nice little test of LDPM 7. We see that little bounce right there at like 3 in the morning. And ultimately, it looks like even the bullish support LDPM 7 was kind of able to instill a little bit, was unsuccessful. And so downwards went Bitcoin. Liquidity flow and amount are also negative on these. And a little bit of lag because of the data. But unlike the 15-minute view, on the 8-minute view, we do see a little sprinkling of bullish liquidity poking through after crossing over LDPM 5. And so that does put, a test of LDPM 6 at 120.67 up as a likely event. And so, yeah, that is the quick look at how the market performed throughout the day with ES futures, micro Ethereum futures, and Bitcoin futures. Hope you enjoy. And if you guys enjoy this content, let me know. If you want more talking, let me know. Less talking, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time, and happy trading. Bye.